Hope is talking.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. It's not talking anymore.
He told me everything. I'll be testing you to see if you are worthy of the part.
How could
All
we?
right, guys. Alright. I hope you guys enjoyed the reuse of the first boss of the game, because we're about to reuse him again.
What? So,
I'm not kidding, Jova. We literally fight this boss obligatorily 3 times.
you know,
Throughout this entire main campaign.
for comparison's sake, when 13-2 had, its Coliseum of Sorts, they at least did something special with some of the bosses, actually fought outside the box. Like, we got to fight Gilgamesh of all people. We fought Past Lightning and Current Snow. It's like, look, the Coliseum in 13-2 was arguably the best part of that game. DLC.
Yeah, debatable.
Well,
there was some kind of entertainment.
Wait, okay, so Pedro, so what do you consider in 13-2 to be better than the Coliseum section?
Well, that's just the thing, Joe. I don't enjoy any single part of that game. It's hard for me to pin down, like, the least bad part.
Well, that's why I say the Coliseum is because... Oh, sorry, go on.
The problem with the Coliseum to me is that while writing and cutscene-wise, it's pretty enjoyable for how out there it is. I just don't like how fucking bullshit the boss battles themselves are.
Oh, well, don't worry. I'm not talking about the gameplay. Like, seriously, the gameplay in its entirety of 13-2 is...
I'm sorry.
That's also the thing, Joe,
garbage.
if you don't. That's also the thing, Joe. If you don't remember, the DLC in the Coliseum, boss in the Coliseum, were extremely tough because they were.
Wait.
Oh, hold on.
Wait.
Never mind. I forgot about this.
So we're not
this
redoing the boss. It's just
No, we
slaughter a couple of gremlins.
no, it's not that too. I forgot about this. This particular thing is actually a tournament. We have to get to Zaltus instead of skipping straight to him. I forgot about this.
Maybe the story would work better if, they actually did more of an actual effort to try and connect the two dots. Like, again, like I said, like Circe said, for a novice actress. Again, what does being an actress have to do with how well you can fight? Like, I get it. The prize here is the outfit needed. But what sense does it make, actually? Like, seriously, what use does somebody who's fighting in the air gonna have to do for a dress? Like, it's only by coincidence that Lightning's also gonna be in the show. Like,
that's
maybe...
a good point. Bloodsport fans. There you go, Jova. This is, they're doing what the Asterix Jam movie did. They're doing that joke of the Colosseum of Rome being like, professional wrestling. The big difference is that in the movie it worked because, well, it's Asterix, it's lighthearted and comedic and all that shit. This, on the other hand, just comes across as...
That Anubis has high heels.
That too, yeah.
See, when Starscream in Transformers Prime had stiletto feet, that got made fun of, but he could still use them coolly, and it actually looks cool design-wise. Here... there's no rhyme or reason to it. Especially for the fact that, do we even really deal with this boss elsewhere? Like, that's it.
We get, Hideki Kamiya to block Toriyama out of the Square Enix.
I don't know. But Pedro, maybe it's too much fun to have Toriyama around. I mean, life's just too certain without him, isn't it?
Sorry, Jova, I will take anyone in place.
I mean, Teo likes Mobius Final Fantasy, but still.
It's not more. I mean, I'm like the fact that Toriyama is, confined in that closet. So it doesn't.
Okay, who's...
Not kidding, Pedro. Like, when they renewed for a season 2 of the story, because the story was clearly over at that point, the first thought of, oh, they just did it for sole purpose of keeping Toriyama to that thing.
And this is
Fine by me.
So, question: is it ever possible to just get these 2 side quests back to back? Like, say if like, well,
Well, that's what I'm doing basically. So,
oh no. What I meant is like, was it possible so that you can like do both of them here? Like, well, say if like you talk to the right people at the right time, you can basically
No, you can only do it one. Okay, basically it's like this. If you do have the thing for the fragment of here's how it works, Joba. If you're in the specific point in the main story where you're supposed to do this thing to get the dress thing will take priority, which makes sense considering it's the main quest instead of a side quest.
But can you do it so that at the very least, after you get the dress, then you can just play again for Dodge's fragment?
Yeah. You can just go back there and do it again after finishing this part. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you. You were so pleased by the cutscene.
Although, now that I think about it, it's starting to feel like the Dodge one is supposed to be I can't tell if the dodge one is supposed to be the one that comes first canonically or later, because it's either the first canonically because, oh, the dragon's easier in that one, or it's the second one canonically because, oh, now you're actually going straight to the toughest enemy. Maybe they could actually just maybe differentiate the enemies used.
This is so pissing off the fact that they're wasting Ali Hill's talent to be that kind of person.
Can we go back to commentating on Ni no Kuni 2? Like, I don't...
You mean the part of Savior?
Again, though, I mean, I have to comment again. These side quests are just so badly designed, like in pacing, structure, and order. And again,
Well, the entire game is like that, so why should the side quests be any better?
well, the fact that they're one of the main lifeblood of this game, and you know, what really hurts is like,
he's right.
what really hurts is like, okay, this game is the worst of the Lightning Trilogy in a similar way to how Legend of Korra Season 2 is the worst season out of the bunch. What helps make it the worst is because for a glimmer, you get an actual idea of how this game could be good. Like, the battle system here is actually good and potentially fun. And like in Legend of Korra Season 2, this isn't spoiling much to you, but basically, let's just say they start off with what looks like we're going to get a legit civil war between two certain factions. I'm not going to spoil who. However, here's the problem, though. Halfway into the season, that gets abandoned for a completely out-of-nowhere bit, and we get more padding here and there. And let's just say, by the end of it, not only is the potential wasted, you'll be wishing they had never even brought up the potential by then.
It's not even just that. Like, they changed what... Don't worry, saying this doesn't spoil anything. They changed what the hell the way the spirit world works so much, right? It's literally like they're making it up as they go. It's so bad.
See, Avatar: The Last Airbender felt like a show that was planned from start to finish, absolutely, season by season by season. Sure, some things weren't executed the best, but it all came together to tell a very good, well-told story. One with, may I remind you, each episode felt like it could be contained in and of itself. Sure, there was an overarching story leading up to, getting the war ended, but each episode, except for, multi-parters, had their own story contained within them, like the Drew episode. Essentially, the main conflict is the heroes trying to stop Razul from piercing into the city of Ba Sing Se, and there's no stupid lead-ups into it. Sure, the episode prior there was leading to the Drew, but all the same, that was mainly just focused on Serpent's Pass.
Oh, enjoy the cutscene.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I would have. But first, we have a reclusive patron to take care of.
So, right. Again, we got a dress from a tournament just so we can somehow get fireworks to blow up a pillar to get us into a coliseum.
It's like retribution.
Remember, Jova, the whole point of this game is to play dress up with lightning. So, anyway, you know what's interesting, Jova? That particular dress that we're gonna put on. I had back in the day when this, when we were, quote unquote, still doing the pre-release hype, quote unquote, of this game. I actually this dress was actually shown as part of the promotional material, and I even asked on SSMB Fred, like, okay, so what particular skills does this dress have? And I think it was Solkia who answered me saying the ability to turn her into a Disney princess. That's basically it. Yeah.
I mean Solkia. He's the one who actually introduced me to the Tales of franchise, believe it or not.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw him talking a lot of it. I asked a couple of things, and he told me just emulate PS1 Fantasia and start from there.
That purple dress, that looks like Lust from Full Metal Alchemist dress.
Not really, it's a traditional tango female dress.
Weird though. I didn't realize we were signing up for a tango. I thought this was more of a ballet show or...
Actually, you mentioned?
Have they even established what kind of dance they're doing for the show?
Not really, no.
Like, what show are we even really doing? Is it some festival? Some play?
By the way, this is where we end the Use No main quest. So we're actually going to get the one good part of the story in this part. So enjoy it for while it lasts, I guess.
So this is leading right into the battle with Snow. Why do I get the feeling this is going to be paced badly? Like,
lightning, that looks so. It
doesn't even look like it's animated onto her properly.
it's just that no, it's not even just that. Like Toriyama, you created this character, and you don't have any
Ha
idea.
ha ha ha! You've put enough firepower to blow apart the theater.
Fucking World of Final Fantasy, which is supposed to satirize Final Fantasy, wrote her better than and more in character than in this. How sad is that?
Wait, is this NPC actually catching on?
Yep.
Oh,
Turns out he's not as stupid as we thought.
so we've just been wasting our time.
Brilliant!
Wait, what?
I just think you went a little overboard.
That's the thing, Joe. I used to
What?
be
Wait,
stupid,
wait,
but
hold
You still
on.
have Shiro, by the way?
She's
She
bird,
bird.
remember.
Okay.
Also, God, dude, you just picked apart the fact that this will take people out, and your conclusion is, oh, she just went a little overboard. Yes, this woman who went to all these lengths to get the fireworks herself, without your direct say-so, who has been going from person to person, just on a supposed whim, and you think she just went a little overboard?
Also, Joe, there's a message in the chat for you.
That lightning's face there.
That looks like it was photoshopped. Actually, Lightning herself looked like
I
she was
know.
photoshopped.
I know, right?
Even need to
La
ask
creatura.
if it's the
Yeah,
savior you
yeah,
want.
yeah. I mean, okay, I guess the dress...
You've got
Okay, I guess Lust is dressed as more black, but... Yeah, Lightning's dress just immediately reminded me of Lust from Full Metal Alchemist.
Lusty has more, tight dress. That's more open.
And he gives me the sort of goes with the dress called femme fatale.
Well, it's
But
kind
believe it
of...
or not, Pedro, that's actually a weapon scheme for Lightning in the CDNT. You actually have the femme fatale.
So-
Wait, the dress or the sword?
Okay,
sword.
so what did we talk
Oh,
over? So what's happening now?
Basically, remember, Jova, we're going to do the ceremony as an excuse. To
Oh, no.
tackle down the-
I get that, but I mean, was the director going to change anything now that he knows that they were going a bit overboard?
The frame rate.
Yeah.
Also, Final Fantasy VIII reference.
No, Joe. We're not really changing much of the choreography. We're just having
No.
lightning do the main-
No. I'm asking, is he still going for the fireworks thing even though he knows that she was going
Yes,
overboard?
he is. Yes, he is. Basically, the argument is that, I'm bored of doing the same show over and over, so this might liven up.
Hey
Basically.
Pedro, this reminds me of something.
So basically, Lightning
Yes.
convinced him to try and spruce things up because he was supposedly bored with it. So he goes from saying, I can't risk my audience and the cast, but
Everything I am.
hey, let's put on a show. Yeah, it may be the last show they'll ever see,
Let your
dummy.
blessings rain down
Okay,
upon
let me
us.
break it down. Problem number one. It just feels wrong, regardless of context, to see Lightning saying these kinds of things. It goes completely against what the first game was trying to accomplish. Keyword being trying.
Wait, the first
Second.
game was trying to accomplish
In the
something
name
with
of
her?
radiant God,
The
I
whole
bear aloft
defy
this
fate
light
thing.
and banish
I don't
the
take
darkness.
bullshit from gods and shit.
Also,
Well, again, Jova, I said keyword trying.
Didn't 13-2 already kind of smash that to pieces, considering how she was
True,
working for the
true.
goddess? That's true.
True, but regardless. Problem number two. Again, Ali Hilla's complete, lifeless delivery of these lines surrender this entire scene complete boring. Like seriously, I mean,
there's no pulse to it.
You know, I'm just gonna say this right now. The whole character being robbed of their emotion and whatnot. Yeah, wasn't that done better in Final Fantasy VI with Terra?
yes.
Actually, no, Joe,
Oh.
that was more mind control.
Well, you know what I mean, though. It's like, I mean, because she was forced to basically act like she was
Also
stripped
that
of her
kind of
emotion.
I think what he means, Theo, is how it took quite a while for Terra
I'll
to
show
open
you
up.
a real
Not to
fighter.
mention the fact that mind control would be a better excuse for why Lightning's acting the way she is.
Well, how about this, Joe? I think Celis is a better example of what you're trying to say.
I guess. Although,
Because Celis, because of what Celis went through in the beginning of that game, she starts off kind of cold and distant.
You're just in time to see the statue crumble. Look at that.
Yes. Look at that fireworks. Boom. Yeah, the frame rate takes horribly, and it's a cutscene.
and they're still running with this as if it's part of the show.
Also, Lightning is about to kill people.
You see, it's Jova.
And they're
Jova, it's
cheering! These people are cheering! You fools!
Jova, don't you see? The apocalypse at the end of 13.2 robbed everybody of their aging as well as their brains.
Also, I guess to be fair, part of the reason I remembered this as because that's also how her character bio is mentioned in Opera Omnia.
Even the choreography is not all that good. It just looks Look at that, she's just swinging on a sword in circles. How is this supposed to be impressive?
Just that she had to light up the rapier 3 times separately.
Also, some people are still cheering even though people are dying. You know, for comparison's sake, in the first Virgin game, when the heroes started causing havoc
Yay,
and...
we're all being killed! Yay!
You know, in the first Virgin game, when the heroes caused havoc and mayhem on the racetrack, people reacted accordingly. So, what the hell's going on here? Like,
This foreshadowing is so stupid.
also, how has Snow not been alerted at this point? I mean, this isn't so much a Curvo operation now.
He's being secluded into the basement of his own palace from the start of the game.
I really cannot wait until we finally start commenting on World of Final Fantasy. Miracle of Miracles, Tale. Yuna and Tidus actually have chemistry in that game.
But yeah, anyway,
Sure.
as I was
No,
saying...
I assure you. The way they portray those two characters is actually really good. Like, you know, seriously, Hiraki Chiba completely fixed those two characters. It's amazing.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how lightning deals with a fucking wall.
That took way too long.
It's mostly because Teo, he completely dropped his original characterization. In World of Final Fantasy, Tidus is pretty much Zidane 2.0 basically.
I already told me, and I think I already responded you that.
Oh, that. Okay.
It's sad because, you know, in order to make a character, you actually had to deprive another character from his personality trait.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, if it makes
Tidus...
him better, I'll take it.
I can tell you that this CD actually manages to make Tidus his own character.
Yeah, I mean, Tidus to me is a slate. I mean, he can be annoying, but aside from that, he is a fine enough protagonist. The main issue was the direction they went with
Well,
him.
Jova, I think I already told you, but let's just say that especially the more I learn psychology and everything, the way Final Fantasy X portrays that father-son issues is
Iffy.
insulting, to use an euphemism.
I
The way
mean,
Tidus copes with supposedly his hate, quote-unquote, for his father Jack, it's quite a spin to the face to everyone who was actually abused by their own father.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a topic for another day.
Indeed.
Well,
Also,
we'll get to that game eventually.
lightning with a bouquet.
Well,
You're
well, regardless of that, Tale, I can assure you that the overall, regardless of what you think of their method, I can assure that Shiba's writing is very, very good. Like the cutscenes that and side quests involving Tidus and Yuna are really, really good. Like,
Yeah.
so I can at the very least tell you that regardless of what you think of the concept in general, the execution is very, very good.
From what I've seen of World of Final Fantasy, it looks pretty good, although I don't really care for the whole making the male character as dumb as he is. That running gets a bit
You mean
old.
Josh Keaton's character?
Oh, he plays the main male.
Yeah, Josh
whatever, the
Keaton plays
brother.
Lon. Yes, Josh Keaton plays
About
Lon.
time I actually saw Josh Keaton in a Final Fantasy, in a proper main role in a Final Fantasy game.
Go figure.
And he's great. Oh, he's great in it, especially at the end. Well, Job, I can tell you that he does get his redemption moment at the end of the game.
Also,
Yeah.
there you go, we're back where the game started.
Yes. But you see, Tia, we've come full circle.
know Pedro, sorry, we know Hope. Please, Hope, shut up.
I know, like,
Boy, this place really is not guarded well, all things considered. Also, why is Snow even in charge of this place?
but because Jova, remember
Remember.
remember this
After-
trilogy's
after-
modus operandi, Jova. If we want something to happen, just have it happen. No logic, no
After,
rhyme, no reason, no context, no build-up.
But we'll explain it
No.
in a Japanese exclusive novel.
Actually, not just that. Noel's story arc actually showed us in a flashback. After the events of 13-2, which destroyed the entire timeline.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Well, I know it told us
No.
that Snow
Hold on.
buggered off, but it never told us how he came to be in charge of this
Hang
place.
on, let him finish.
Actually, no. Noel tells you. Noel, Hope, and Snow actually managed to encounter each other and told each other they would have tried their best to actually unite the world and make it a better place while waiting for Lightning's return.
Heal the world.
Yeah, I know.
As such,
it better.
Hold on.
they cooperated in order to be leader figures in respective area, rounding up people. And please know it actually makes sense considering being already kind of like a supposed leader hero. figure in the first game, would it make sense for him to have charisma to actually round up people and becoming the major of this city?
Dio, you're doing the writer's job for them, and we have to assume that much.
No. It was actually the whole the three guys and everything. Yes, but to be fair to
Oh, I know
Jova,
about
they
that.
didn't specify how all the procedures of how Snow got to be and how exactly who exactly did he have to please to become the patron of the city exactly.
Let me
So I
put it
guess
like-
it's just one of those things where we just have to assume a lot, like Jova said.
Let me put it like this. It's like a fanfic writer who has all these cool and awesome moments planned out in his fanfic, but doesn't think of how he's going to get to those certain points. So he says, "Oh, I'll just say this or that happened," and then bam, zoom to it. Now, let's be quite
said,
honest. With amazing movies like Captain America: First Soldier, Black Panther, Spider-Man.
First Avenger, you mean?
Got it. Right. Anyway, regardless, great movies like Black Panther, Captain America: First Avenger, Infinity War, those have a lot of great moments. However, there are the more quote-unquote boring, and by that I mean boring to how it may seem writing it out, parts where you have to actually connect the two. Like, to the writers, yes, it may seem boring to explain how Snow came to this position of power, but that would actually does help the story foundation, because
Yeah.
I get that it was their plan. Here's the problem, though. I'm wondering how Snow got into this piece of power, but also maintained it, because as far as we're seeing with Hope and Noel, those two have had way less luck. Like, Noel's just off in gloom and doom. He's not even trying from what we've seen at this point. And Hope is kind of lobotomized and younger again. I'm sure the game will explain that later.
Yeah.
But again, that leads me to my point, though. It just raises the more question. How is Snow the only one of them who actually came out of this, actually making together a community?
I'm guessing what you mean, Jova, is that Snow has always been a complete doofus in the previous two games, so it's a bit unbelievable to think that he will become a...
Okay, not quite. I can
But Joe is explaining that he wants the game to actually tell
Hey,
you.
look, we found a switch.
Well, let me give you the obvious answer, Jova. It's probably in the data log. I just don't remember it.
Well, that's not good storytelling. My point is this, like, well, okay, look, I
Oh,
can
it
buy...
is present, no?
Okay, now I can buy that Snow has good charisma. I mean, as stupidly written as it's been, the previous games have shown that Snow is just really good at getting people to support him. The problem here is like, well, Snow has never done to them something to a level of this, though. To have a kingdom and community who apparently worship him, even though we've only heard like a few people say that they really work for him. Yeah, he has this whole foundation here. So, again, how did he get to this point? Like, that might actually help also build more on his character and why he's like this. Like, maybe go into the procedures of how it got to it and why he's like this now. Like, why he seemed hopeful back then or why he seems down in the dumps now as opposed to just explaining it in the last few seconds.
I think what Joe was trying to say is that, yes, writers, I get that it can be a bit boring to write scenes of exposition, but there's a reason why we have scenes of exposition in writing. It's kind of a necessary evil at worst.
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, it doesn't even have to be a necessary evil. You can use that exposition to kill two birds with one stone. Like, as I was saying, we could have seen maybe a slight cutscene of the procedures of Snow, showing not only how he came to rise to power, but also showing why he's a lot less hopeful than he was before. Like, that could have worked on such a great standard. But no, here we're plopped right into this. Snow is secluding himself with something that's probably going to be summed up in one cutscene, and will probably get resolved just as easily.
Oh,
I
hold
can-
on,
I-
hold on, Jova,
sorry.
hold on. I think Jova's original guessing was right. This is where it's explained how Snow became the leader of Yuzan.
A Japanese exclusive novel.
10-episode novella.
What? A
Brilliant.
10-episode novella! Wow. So, how much do you want to bet that that's better written than this game?
Probably.
Actually, does Toriyama even write the exclusive novels?
Yeah, this one at least I can tell you.
I remember, back when I was younger, when I could buy a game, I would play the game, and I would understand it.
To be fair, Pedro, in a lot of old school games had almost their entire story in the fucking manual.
But that was a manual. That still came with the
Okay,
game.
let me specify.
Well,
let me,
the good argument that you can make is for today game standards, it should not be feasible.
Not to mention, manuals still...
Hold on, Joe, if you'll allow me. So let me rephrase that. I remember back in the day, back in the 90s, when I would buy a JRPG,
Are you planning
Let's
on
let's say
stopping
Chrono
Ah,
Trigger.
what the heck?
And I would.
Me, I've no intention of holding a weapon to you.
It's a soldier ammo, Tova. Continue, Pedro.
So, a soldier
Wait.
is now willing to fight with us?
Quite the opposite.
It's an excuse so we can have a shop
I believe
here.
you're fighting to free him from
In fact,
his
yeah, I'm gonna be using Chrono Trigger. I'll use Final Fantasy. If okay, back in the day, I was able to purchase Final Fantasy VI for my PS1 because the PS1 version was released in Europe, unlike the SNES version. And I was able to play it and completely understand it. Why is it that I play a PS3 Final Fantasy game and I cannot understand it by playing it? That's all I'm asking. Seriously, why?
Not only that, but manuals manuals came with the game, so you could consider manuals to at least be part of the game. You know, they were part of the game purchase. And you know what? I honestly still like manuals that did that. I mean, like, well, they could be clever and intuitive. Heck, some even came with comics in them. Yes, Bubsy came with a comic.
Bubsy 2.
Anyway, to go back to this though, basically this soldier saying that Snow is going mad, so he's asking Lightning to put him out of his misery, basically. Yeah.
So he wants to help save Snow. Hey, that's actually a well-rounded character trait. So,
Unfortunately, Jova, this is the extent of his role in the story.
yeah, I was about to ask, is he like the only guard posted this close to Snow? Like, there's not been any other one.
Like I was saying though, Jova, well, okay, regardless of how contrived it is that he's become the patron of this city, I can at the very least tell you that Snow's reason for locking himself in here is actually a good, at the very least, like me and Theo said, this is probably the only good moment in this entire story.
Oh, is it because he's becoming more of a thief and he wants to protect the people from himself?
That too, but there's more to it than that.
Oh, yeah, because then I just asked, don't we know how to fix these anyway?
This is kind of different, and you'll see why, you know.
Although, honestly, now that I think about it, the way they suddenly got rid of their marks in the first 13 game wasn't that explained well. Like,
it also helps that both Troy Baker and Ali Hillis in the upcoming scene, they do a fantastic job in completely selling the storyline that's gonna happen in a moment. It's just a shame that Lumina once again has to show up in the middle of the fucking cutscene to, you know, spell out everything for me because, you know, I'm stupid and I can't put one and one together.
So, if I can recall correctly, the way you get rid of a C mark, I guess, was by killing all the Falsi in the first 13 game.
I'm sorry, Jova. Could you repeat that? I misunderstood.
I'm trying to remember. The heroes were able to get rid of their C status by killing all the Falsi in the first 13 game.
Yes.
So, in that case, why not just kill the Falsi that made the Snow, let's see.
The Cactuar Falsi, too?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Joe?
The Cactuar Falsi made Snow into a Lassie in the novella, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's that one that I actually think.
Yeah, it's the one we just mentioned, yeah. What happens to the Cactuar Falsi? Does it ever die? Does it ever...
Actually, never actually bothered to check. Give me a second.
Also, you're having me now imagine one of the humorous Cactuar as a Falsi.
Falsi,
Like,
yes.
why even though? I mean, weren't Falsi supposed to be kind of their own thing? Like, when was it established that Falsi can actually become iconic Final Fantasy monsters?
Because fan service?
To be fair, Jova, the Falsis in the first game were all named after original summons like Carbuncle, Phoenix.
Odin.
Oh, wait. hold on.
Odin is,
Wait, Odin was a summon, though.
Idol.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Keep going.
But hold on, wait. I get that they were named after them, but was the Cactuar Falsi actually shaped like a Cactuar, or was it just named that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was an actual Cactuar, yes.
Yeah. That's the difference, because we've seen Cactuars in this trilogy that are not Falsi. So why is there a Cactuar that's a Falsi? Like, you know...
Jova makes a good point. The Carbuncle in 13 didn't look anything like Carbuncle was supposed to look like. So even in that term tale, they broke their own logic.
It's never explained. I quote, it is presumed to have either gone dormant or been destroyed when the kill was released into the mortal war.
So basically what you're telling me is that this Cactuar Falsi, for all I knew, playing the games I mean, never even existed.
And by that logic, shouldn't Snow be freed of his status if that Falsi's out of commission?
I don't know.
So
I mean,
even
he
when
didn't
we
really-
have
he
the
didn't-
novels explaining stuff, we're still in the dark.
Cue that clip with Christopher Walken. I don't know.
It's just so. Okay, I understand. Okay, I understand that a lot of people feel mixed on the amount of cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid 4, but at the very least, Kojima had a good reason to have that many cutscenes. He had 10 years of lore to wrap up, and he wanted to make sure it was all done in one
Well, even
package.
then, it still wasn't enough to explain everything.
Well, points for trying at least.
Yeah.
And it's just, but the thing, but again, at least he told everything in one game. Yes, it kind of rendered the gameplay minimal, but at the very least, he had a reason for it. This just seems, anyway, cutscene.
I wonder what that is. Oh my god, Hope.
That snow gave to your sister, wasn't it?
Well, to be fair, too, I'm
Okay.
guessing that is for people who haven't played the first game.
Not to mention, the pendant is animated so differently that I wouldn't be able to tell it's the same thing. Like, seriously, the pendant actually had more of a, I don't want to say a sphere, but a triangular element to it.
I have an idea.
I think this is one
I'm
of those
going back to that
situations where the
door.
thing could have
I wanna
worked
see
10
if
times
this
better if
pendant
no
can
one
break the
talked
seal.
and
Do you
the
think the pendant could work as
the
some
expressions
sort
was conveyed through the character's
better.
face.
Sorry, Tio, we have to explain this though, because it sounds like the pendant may be the key to opening the door.
That's a good segue for one of my points, Jova, so if you don't mind me.
Go on.
See, the thing, here's another problem I have with this game's story. This story relies entirely on nostalgic attachment for the
Hang in
first
there,
game.
Snow.
Let me
I'm
explain
coming
that.
to hear your side of
What's
the
Sass's
story.
plot?
Did you just forget about
Dodge
the
is in
pendant?
trouble, we need to save
Your
him.
own
Just like
choice.
the
the
first
s-
game.
Because
What's the
you've
snow
thrown
plot?
aside her love.
We need to get the necklace so we can save. We need to get the necklace that was incredibly important in the first game. You know, the one that Snow gave to Sarah. What's the storyline of Noel? Well, in this case, it's for 13-2 rather than 13-1, but the same logic applies. The only possible, appeal from the Noel main quest is nostalgic attachment to their characters from 13-2.
Not to
Exactly
mention
what I
how they
mean.
kind of
This
turn
entire
Noel's
game-
motivation into Caius's motivation, because Caius was the one obsessed with UL to the point of trying to kill everything, not Noel. Yet now here Noel's the one obsessed with bringing back UL. Like, maybe you could argue, oh, he had the hots for Sarah, but that would just spit in the face of the Sarah and Snow romance, now wouldn't it?
And even Fang and even Fang, just like in the first game, is trying her best to find Vanille, or in this case, help Vanille. But
The only person who seems to actually be
they're
doing
basically the
something
same.
for the better of humanity and actually being different and showing that they've aged and matured is, God help me, Vanille.
It's again, this entire game is a regurgitation of the previous game's plots.
Yeah, it's like I said, Vanille's the only character
Snow,
who's doing something
can you hear
different
me?
and something productive at that.
If you've locked yourself up
I actually
in there because you thought it was
mentioned
what
this back in the
Sarah
day on
would
SSMB when I
Think
first played this
again.
game.
So how about that? I guess Vanille's
Or did
not
you
as
never
bad as she
really
was,
know
but
her?
at the
The
but at
only
what
thing
cost?
She wanted was you.
All right,
Don't you
Shiro, you still there,
abandon
by the
her
way?
now. Don't deny her that
So
way.
this is
Because
the equivalent.
this is the one good part of the story. So treasure it while it lasts, I guess.
That was almost like her apologizing to the door, only this time it works. Story-wise, I mean.
Yeah, we know. It's basically, yeah, and Snow's even about to explain it even, so you'll get that confirmation.
Hey, it's the high and mighty savior. You here to bring
All right, so you're
God's
probably
judgment?
wondering what exactly has caused Snow to just,
Not
you know,
like
lock
you
himself
were
in
before,
here all
but
this
you
time.
look different this time.
Because he couldn't find Sarah
Ready to
unless he
listen to
feels he
reason?
failed. No. That wouldn't. That wouldn't.
He is sad for Sarah, yes, but surprisingly, Jova,
I'd
he
begun to
does have a
worry
good
that
reason
you
for
weren't the
being
Snow I
here.
once
True.
knew.
Because if it was just Sarah, he would have already
Looks
broken
like
down
nothing will ever
before the
change you.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about last time. I had to test you though. Had to know you were the real lightning.
Only the real
Sure.
lightning would
Behind
enter
Sarah's
in the
pendant
room
and
that
sealed myself
stupidly.
No, actually, he has a good one, yeah.
I figured that if
Yeah,
you
only
knew
Lightning, of
last
course,
time,
would know how
you'd
important
never
that
think to
necklace
use
is,
a trinket
basically.
to bust
So,
through that
yeah,
seal.
that actually does add up.
But you knew
Alright.
exactly what that pendant means and what to do with it.
That's actually smart.
So you really are our lightning.
Huh, a callback to
Troy-
their development in the
Troy-
first 13 game.
Now I get
That's
to look
actually
Troy,
nice.
you know, Troy, I hope they gave you a really big paycheck because this game is beneath you.
But you understand like
You know
no one
what's
else
also
does.
I'll
I bet you
mention
figured
during the
out as
actual
soon as you
fight.
saw that room.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Pay attention here.
Prison. A nice grave for a monster like me.
So yeah, this entire time, there you go, a shit ton of chaos. Okay, basically Snow has been trying his best to keep the chaos contained so that it doesn't spread throughout the world.
So you're telling me Pedro already tried to use chaos control?
So it doesn't spread.
There you go. Basically, he's been protecting the people of Yuznan from the chaos by literally sucking all of the chaos onto himself, and that's why he's turning into a thief. Basically, he's basically going mad because he's trying his best to protect not just Yuznan but the world from the chaos. But there you go.
The problem this thing is acting up.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually a noble character intention that does fit.
Oh, yeah, Troy's.
Let me do this.
There you go. Because of there you go. Because he feels guilty over letting Sarah die, he wants to do this because he wants to feel useful. There you go.
Wow, they actually are making something good come out of that trilogy.
You waited 3 games in, and only now you've bothered to make Snow into a likable human being.
Too late.
Too late. No, I agree. It's too
No,
late.
but I would say too little, but I don't know. This feels meaty enough to be at least about that.
This feels like something Yoko Taro would make, honestly, especially considering the whole.
The theme of the repent,
Yeah.
madness, and feeling
Not just that. The whole sea thing kind of feels like what was that? The name of that thing in the original Nier? It also kind of shows up in Automata's the Shades. Yeah, it also kind of feels like a throwback to that sorts.
Anyway, let me post also the link. Depending on the day, you will encounter different forms of progressively getting worse depending on which day you're actually encountering
Destroy
him.
you?
So yeah, now that he's consumed all the chaos for him, he's asking Lightning to kill him so that the chaos dies with him.
So basically, the third one that you see with him without his jacket is the worst one, and they're more difficult. Anyway, Pedro, I'm not sure if I...
Let me just give this brief shout out to. I want to give props to Troy Baker because his delivery in that scene was pretty stellar. So he did a great job selling the scene. Go ahead.
Yeah, that scene was pretty great.
Also, battle theme from the first game?
It makes sense since they've been together.
Remember, throwback because we've come full circle since
Alright, I'll mention it later.
I'm over leveled.
And basically, from what I can understand, how much of a thief he becomes by this point depends.
Depends on the day you're facing,
Yeah, since I'm like at day 4, I think it's still fairly early.
See, the reason this works is because speaking as somebody who didn't even hate Snow the worst of all characters in 13, I saw the good character within him. Granted, his execution was messy and bad. But, do we want to hear what you actually...
I could enjoy. We could have enjoyed this, but no, you just had to show up, didn't you?
I think this girl is kind of like the Tori. She's Toriyama at this point.
Let me put it like this, Shiro. Let me put it like this, Joe. Imagine if every time we have a more heavy or dramatic scene in Ace Attorney, a character, I don't know who, pick one. Larry Butts showed up, and he started, basically, oh, I see, Phoenix. You're sad because you were bullied as a child, and this is a direct effect on the way you grew up and how you admire Edgeworth, isn't it?
Okay. I'm convinced. Lumina is from Lightning's subconscious at this point. Like, it makes sense, Lightning's...
for all time.
For all time's sake as well. So yeah, she's literally trying to break him out of his stupor.
And here it's that's actually a nice reflection too in the first 13 game, whereas Lightning was doing it for dickish reasons in 13, here she's actually doing it for noble reasons. Again, the reason this scene overall, Lumina aside, works is because, this is actually a good culmination of both Lightning and Clouds as characters. Also, Lightning gets sacked emotional, even though weren't we told that she was stripped of her emotions, so what the heck's going on?
What are those lasers in the background that cost this
That's exactly the point, Jova. They made her emote here, but they made her emote the least of them. But that's exactly what makes me think of my theory that I threw in the last part. I'm genuinely convinced that the whole God took away your empathy thing was literally added at the last moment because of, test player concerns. I'm genuinely convinced that was it.
And you know what that reminds me of, Pedro? One of the few genuine good scenes in the first 13 game, which was also between Snow and Lightning. It felt like something from a different game, but something that actually did progress the plot better and help build their characters up. Again,
And that, Lightning is actually getting desperate because Sarah would definitely know how to, convince him because Sarah was the light of his life.
and that's
But,
another
she
interesting
But
character.
she cannot because, well, she's not Sarah.
And that's another
you go.
interesting character narrative for Lightning, to show that she's not all invincible up there. Like, she has her own self-doubts. Something that the first 13 game was sorely missing. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say, folks. She did have some self-doubts. Yeah, those doubts barely came up. And even still, the only doubt was when she had a revelation that she was just being an idiot with the whole drafting Hope into a
Not just
war
that,
plan.
Joe, but let's not forget, let's not forget one of my favorite cutscenes in the first game, where Hope said, "Oh, so the false teacher is like pets," and then Lightning has this whole duh revelation moment, like pets, and like I pointed out in our playthrough, really, you're just now realizing this. You
Also,
fucking
here,
moron.
in case you're wondering, yes, there are the shipping.
feelings for Sarah disappear into the chaos.
Well, isn't it kind of official that Lightning's shipped with Hope?
No, with Snow.
Oh, why would they ship Lightning with Snow?
He means
Oh.
I think he means fan shipping, Joe.
Crack shipping, yes.
Okay, crack shippings.
So yeah, basically she, Allie,
I'm
again,
pretty
I
sure
hope
that's,
you-
not for nothing, but the way you turned into a thief did not involve the guttural monster growling. Wasn't it literally just you turned crystal? Like, when was...
I remember, Jova, he's in the halfway between a human and a thief, so...
Yeah,
Anyway.
but Sid was also in halfway step, and he didn't act like that.
There you go. Allie, I hope you got paid a really good paycheck for this.
But yeah, again, this... what's weird is like, well, this scene does acknowledge the
There you go.
stupid...
She literally called him back to his senses, and thanks to, I guess, restoring the light in his heart, he reverts back to being a normal human.
Wait, what? When was that established that that's how you fix being a lessee?
For a second there.
Well,
To be fair-
okay, I guess to be fair, that
at
was
the
how
end
they
of-
kind of
oh,
fixed
at
it
the-
in 13.
At the end of the first game, they pulled that cop out.
Friendship.
So,
At the very least, the game is being consistently stupid.
Fair
guess.
enough, fair enough.
although again, the whole thing about I think it was.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god, a funny joke! Oh my god, a funny joke!
I'm still not.
Wait,
laughing.
so what, she dyed her hair pink?
No, well, regardless of whether or not it's not gonna be wrong, it's not a laugh out
I
loud
know,
joke or
I
anything
know,
like
I
that.
know, if it
But
actually-
that line actually works.
Yes, it does.
Because it's not, Chocobo Chick and Saz acting like a clown.
That reminds me, is Lightning's hair naturally pink, or did she just dye it like that?
Natural.
Ruin that too.
Okay.
Sorry about
She's an
that.
anime character. It's
You were
not
forced to hold
She's an
down the
anime.
fort a long time. It was my fault.
Wow, this actually feels like they're acknowledging all the problems of Lightning as a
Don't
character.
get too cocky.
Too late.
Again,
Sorry.
you know what's a
By this
shame?
point, everybody already gave up.
Again, like I said, part of the reason that this is the worst of the trilogy, at least to me, is that, like with Legend of Korra Book 2, this shows at the most some of the best they could have done, what this could have been. This could have been the Prince of Persia Free of the trilogy, essentially the game that takes what worked, but also makes fun of all the stupid stuff from the past trilogy. Scenes like this do show that with some time and care put into it, it could have worked. And it shows that Toriyama can do better than this. Like, come on, man. You made Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. Why you gotta pad yourself out with this stupid stuff just to get people to like one character?
You're too
Your
stubborn.
his waifu, Joe, remember, he will convince you that his waifu is the best and strongest Final Fantasy character ever made.
Okay, regarding how stupid that is, if he had more scenes like this, he'd at least have done a better job of getting people to like Lightning better. Like, I've seen plenty of video game characters have a terrible start. Heck, not even just video game. Media characters in general have a terrible start, yet get redeemed with the proper steps needed to take in writing better. Heck, even Korra herself, despite being not really that well liked in the first two seasons, got better with seasons 3 and 4. Yes, it was gradual. It took time, but at the very least she got better. And I'm not going to say that Legend of Korra is the best thing ever, but at the very least it did show that they got out of the hole they were digging themselves into with the first two seasons. So why can't Toriyama do it with this goddamn third game?
I also have
I guess the obvious answer is because he did not have time and money enough.
I
I also have to
guess.
admit, I kind of like Snow's look better in this game than the original look.
Pedro, take it for the grain of salt that you want. There's been a leak going around, so I'm not believing that much either. They say that one of the next DLC characters for the CNT will be Snow, with his main look being this one, the one Lightning Returns.
Well, personally, I'm fine with that. I actually prefer this look over the original.
Wouldn't surprise me anyway, since Lightning's in our Lightning Returns outfit for that game.
Well, actually, that makes sense too. If Lightning is in our Lightning Returns outfit, it makes sense for
That's
Snow
the
to be.
thing. Of all the 13 characters, I don't want Snow in this Cydia period.
But he's better in Lightning Returns.
Look at it this way. At least it's Lightning Returns, Snow.
All right, then see you for the next.
Not to mention, maybe they'll make him a better character, like in True to Cydia tradition.
Well,
Whatever,
only time
see you.
will tell.
See ya.
See ya.